My name is Lim Zifeng, and in this video, I will be explaining my section 1 and section 2 for my final assessment. So for the section 1, I analyzed the fast fashion model based on the article The Fast Fashion Model, Why the Problem Goes Beyond Shin. For the part A, I used the Rhodes prima facie duty theory. The main duty are known the maleficent, justice, fidelity, reparation, and the beneficent. Although the Shin may not directly employ the factory worker, but its low price and short deadline may pressure a supplier to reduce the salary, extend the working hour, and ignore the safety. And this goes against non-maleficent because the company should avoid the causing harm. And the justice is also avoid because the brand receive a profit and consumer receive a cheap clothes, while the worker bear low salary and long working hour. The fidelity means that the Shin should keep its promise about the ethical sourcing, and the reparation and the beneficial mean that it should compensate the worker for past damage and improve their life. However, if the Shin suddenly stop working with a supplier, the worker may lose their jobs. Therefore, the Shin should request the better salary and safety while protecting the worker from the sudden unemployment. What witness for the Rhodes theory is that the different people may disagree about which duty is more important. And now for the part B, I use the 10-second formulation, which say that the people should be treated as an end and not only as tools. The worker may appear to accept the poor condition, but poverty and limited jobs opportunity may restrict their freedom to choose. The Shin also cannot place all the responsibility on the supplier if it set low purchasing price and short deadline. Supplier may treat the worker to unfairly to reduce the cost. Companies should also provide a true information so the consumer can make their own decision. For the part C, I use the ethical relativism. This theory suggests that the moral standard may differ between countries. The salary and working hours should be considered together with the local living cost and the jobs market. However, the common behavior is not always the correct. The long working hours do not become ethical just because they are common. The factory owner may accept them, while the worker from the same society may disagree. Therefore, the cultural difference should be considered, but they should not excuse forced labor or serious damage. So for the part D, my position is that the modern fast fashion model is unethical. It creates jobs and provides the affordable clothes, but we must also consider a long working hour, unsafe condition, pollution, and textile waste. And I support a mandatory change instead of sudden ending the supply partnership. The brand should support and given a fair salary, reasonable hour, safe condition, and protect them from the unemployment. The workers should join the decision affecting their jobs, and the government should enforce the human rights and environment rules, where a consumer can buy a fewer but more durable clothes. And now for section 2. For section 2, I select a research article about the Shell oil spill in Nigeria, and I have complete 10 connected prompts using the ChatGPT, but my main focus was to critically examine each response. In row 1, I noted that the AI did not clearly explain whether the Shell responsibility came from directly causing the spill, controlling the infrastructure, or receiving the economic benefit. So this led to a row 2, I learned that the responsibility may arise from the control and economic benefit, even when the Shell did not directly cause the damage. However, I then questioned whether having a more resources away create the greater responsibility. And in row 3, I found that the Shell responsibility should have a limit. It should focus on the damage connected to its operation instead of solving every problem alone. And in the row 4, I consider that the how responsibility should be shared among the Shell, the government, supporting and community. The community can join the discussion and monitor cleanup, but they should not have the same responsibility because they are also the victim. And in row 5, I separate who caused the pollution from the who could stop it. It shall and the government should first prevent the future damage after and investigate. The polluter should pay the final cost. So next in row 6, I realized that the compensation only deal with the past damage. The money cannot fully replace the health, culture, or the environment. Therefore, shell should also prevent the future pollution. And in row 7, I found that the reducing pollution may affect the job and oil supply, while continued pollution also create a long-term economic problem. So in the next row 8, I support that the reducing production only in high-risk area. However, the response did not clearly explain how the effect worker would be support. So next in the row 9, I learned about that meaningful support may include the income protection, pay training, job transfer, and fair compensation, which allowing the worker to join decision can also improve their fairness and increase their support for the change. And finally, in the row 10, I conduct that stakeholder participation does not mean everything interest has equal priority. The community right to health and clean water should come before the share profit. However, the employee should still be protecting during the change. And that's all for my part. Thank you.